Stay tuned to 96.3 FM WQXR. Coming up at 10 o'clock, The Vocal Scene with George Jellinek. 83 degrees, mostly clear in the city now. Tonight, mostly clear. A slight chance of showers and thunderstorms until midnight. Lows around 75. The outlook for tomorrow, mostly sunny, scattered showers and thunderstorms late in the day, highs around 93. Friday night, scattered showers and thunderstorms until midnight, otherwise mostly clear, lows of 75. And Saturday, partly sunny, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, highs near 90. This is the classical station of the New York Times, WQXR New York, and WQXR.com. It's 10 o'clock. And it's time for The Vocal Scene with George Jellinek. Tonight's program is a repeat of a 1997 broadcast honoring the 80th birthday of baritone Robert Merrill.
Hello, this is George Jellinek. Robert Merrill, the great American baritone, turned 80 recently. He has been my guest several times over the years, and I re-invited him on this festive occasion to do some reminiscing on his illustrious career. Let me introduce this great artist and dear friend in one of his great roles as Rodrigo in Verdi's Don Carlo. Robert Merrill, welcome.
Thank you, George.
This recording must bring up wonderful memories for you. The first Bing season, which opened in 1950 with that opera, happens to be my favorite opera. I play music from it whenever I can, and I take advantage of this occasion because it means a lot to you as well. And I know that you sang this particular scene with, among others, with Jussi Björling and later with Richard Tucker. Have any particular memories from?
Oh gosh, it was Rudolph Bing's first night as manager, and it was a very exciting. The whole period was very exciting. A new director, new production, and new role for me, obviously, and with Jussi Björling, and terribly exciting.
Yes.
I loved every minute of it. And Jussi was wonderful to me. He was, as I was singing this aria in his lap, you know, I've been shot.
Yes.
And he's keeping, as I was singing, he whispering in my ear, "Bravo, Bobby, bravo. Boy, bravo."
Wonderful memories. Actually, you sang the role, according to my statistic here, 40 times in the house. Your entire career, which last year the Met honored your 50th anniversary of your debut, you did almost 800 performances for the Met, and this certainly was one of your great roles. Another person who, of course, had a great influence on your career, beginning from your youthful days, was Maestro Toscanini. And our next recording will rekindle memories of the Toscanini Traviata. And here you are in part of the duet with our dear friend Licia Albanese. This is a 1960 recording with Anna Moffo in the role of Violetta. Bob, as you listen to your own voice, the previous recording dates from 1946, this from 1960. Do you notice any changes, and if you do, how would you describe them?
Maybe a little more mature. I vocally, there was not much change. I never thought of changing the voice. I always try to sing with my natural voice, with what I had. And if I sang 2 years, 10 years later, I didn't try to change the quality of the voice. That's why, thank the Lord, I sang for a long time.
Right.
And I still do periodically concerts.
Yes. And of course at Yankee Stadium.
Oh well. Yes, I'm a Yankee.
That's right. Official.
I love it. I love
season opener and spokesperson for the club. But to go back to opera, I also felt that basically the voice quality is the same rich sound that you introduced in your early NBC years, but of course it happens to all of us, even non-singers, that the voice darkens a little bit as we get a little bit older. But 1960 was still a relatively early year for you. You recall probably quite a few traviatas that you shared with Anna Moffo, for whom this was also a debut role in a
I sang at her debut.
role. And you sang at her debut.
I loved her Traviata. She was a marvelous Traviata.
Yes, she was.
Her acting, I mean, her last act, the death scene, was so magnificent. I mean, you really, as an artist and standing on the stage near her, you were thrilled. She was,
Yes.
Anna was quite an artist.
Wonderful artist. A gorgeous voice and a vision to behold in that role, really. A beauty. Well, let's hear a more, how shall I say, a merrier episode in opera in our next duet. A long way from the tragedy of La Traviata, but what a joyous role this is.
Love the role. I love Figaro.
I don't see how you can avoid really falling in love with this character.
I loved it. I was a young student and heard Giuseppe De Luca
Yes.
sing Figaro, Barbara Seville. I was stood up in the balcony with some friends, and I was fascinated with his performance, not only vocally, but his personality. And then when I knew I was going to do it at the Metropolitan, I had a performance in Montreal before that, and De Luca was in town. He was going to give a town hall recital at the age of 70.
Yes.
And I got to him at the hotel on the 57th Street and asked him if he wouldn't help me. He said, sure. So I did about 3 or 4 hours of work
Coaching
with
him.
Giuseppe De Luca and the Barber.
Yes.
And I just love the role. Love it. I have so much fun with great casts.
Yes. And of course, Roberta did her bit to liven up the performance.
Oh, it was a
Delightful-
lovely Rosina. She
delightful
looked
Rosina.
and sang the role. She looked like Rosina.
Yes.
I sang with Lily Pons, too.
Yes.
She sang it beautifully,
Yes.
but she was Lily Pons.
Yes.
Roberta was Rosina
But the
and
character, right.
the character, yes.
Right. Well, this is down memory lane with Robert Merrill. We are reminiscing, he's reminiscing about his wonderful roles at the Met during his long career and some of his great partners, whom I'm also featuring during this hour. And we are going to come back to more memories in a moment.
If you sleep longer, you'll be more rested, right? No. And a hard mattress is better for a bad back. Wrong. Have you been losing sleep believing these sleep myths? Well, get the real facts about getting a great night's sleep guaranteed. Call the sleep specialists at Tempur-Pedic at 1-800-680-9292. You'll get a free Better Sleep video plus a free sample of the Tempur pressure relieving material that's inside the Tempur-Pedic Swedish sleep system. This body contouring bed reduces pressure points that cause tossing and turning. You'll sleep more soundly, wake up more energized. Even with back or neck problems, the Tempur-Pedic bed could offer amazing relief. And that's why over 25,000 medical professionals worldwide recommend it. See for yourself. Call now for your free Better Sleep video and sample of the Tempur material at 1-800-680-9292. Get a great night's sleep guaranteed. Call Tempur-Pedic now, 1-800-680-9292.
Your New York starts here. 96.3 FM WQXR, the classical station.
It's 10:28.
My guest is Robert Merrill, and we are reminiscing about his many years at the Met and some of the great roles he sang. And the next brief excerpt will bring back some sweet memories as well. This was conducted by Sir Thomas Beecham back in 1956, and he was such a colorful personality. I'm sure you have some memories of
gosh,
him.
He was an interesting interesting man. He loved singing, by the way, which is not every conductor loves singing. They love the first cellist, the first violin, and so. But he was marvelous. We had a marvelous time, and he loved it. He loved it. And UC and I did this 2 duets, in the last act.
Right.
Or second act.
Also the last act.
Yeah, last act. We do these beautiful duets, and we were recording it, and the director back and said, "All right, Maestro, we have it. We finished the duet. Thank you." He said, "No, I want to do it again." But Maestro, we have it. We have a wonderful take. No, I must do it again. Must do it again. Well, they had a good. So we did it again. Of course, it cost RCA another $3,000 to go overtime. And when we finished, when we were listening to it, and we went back, we asked him. They asked him, "Maestro, why did you want to do that again? The duet with Merrill and Billy?" He says, "I just love to hear those boys sing."
Yeah. A lovely but costly habit, I imagine, in the recording studio.
He was a lovely man.
Yes. And this was really a rare opportunity to get you all together into the studio. It was just a very fortunate occasion that he was in town, because it is one of his favorite, was one of his favorite operas.
Yeah.
And now we come to another dear friend of yours and mine, Richard Tucker, with whom you shared so many performances and memories, and among others, this particular performance.
Solenne in quest'ora.
What two wonderful tenor voices, Björling and Tucker. And your memories with Richard, I'm sure, are endless.
George, I can do an hour or two just talking about my dear friend, and I must say, I miss him very, very, very much, not only as an artist, but as a very dear friend. We used to have a lot of fun together. We traveled. We were the first duet,
Right.
tenor baritone duet, to do a Carnegie Hall concert.
That's right.
And it just took off.
Right.
And we did them all over the country, and we had a ball. Just had a wonderful time. He was on the stage. Every performance was better than the other. Most performances were better than the other. And before he'd walk out, he said to me, "Bob, no singles, doubles, or triples. Home runs." I mean, he was that kind of a guy. He was wonderful to work with,
Right.
and as a buddy.
Right. The recording we just heard was made in 1964. And interesting, as we talk about tenors, and you mentioned to me before we went on the air that you were partners with what we call the great threesome of today, namely Pavarotti, Domingo, and Carreras. What were your associations with those three?
Well, Pavarotti sang his first season at the Met. He made his debut in a Donizetti role, I think. But anyway, his second role was Traviata, Alfredo, and I never met him before. And he didn't show. He wasn't at the rehearsals. He was busy somewhere. And finally, he walked in. I knew the voice. He walked in, and this 300-pound man was going to play my 18-year-old son. Now, I weighed 150.
Yeah.
So I said, "Luciano, why are you so heavy?" He says, "Because I like to eat. Mi piace mangi." I said, "But I weigh 100. I'm your father." And he says, "Well, you start eating pasta, and before we go on." He was wonderful, and of course, you knew then that it was one of the great voices. Placido sang Ballo e Maschera his first season at the Met with me, and well, you knew then also
That's right.
that he was
Sure.
an outstanding tenor.
Right.
And Carreras, Columbia Concert at one time asked me to take out a quartet to do some performances at universities. And I listened to some singers, and Mitchell, the lovely girl, soprano, came at the Met later.
Yes.
And this young man, this nice-looking young chap, Carreras, sang, and I was overwhelmed with that gorgeous voice. And so I was very happy to take the quartet out, the mezzo, the name escapes me at this time, So I was his father confessor on the tour because he was very young, and then when we finished the tour, and he says, "I wanted to sing with you at the Metropolitan." A year later, it was in Tosca. He made his debut.
Made his debut there. That's right. Well, we have one more artist and famous partner of yours among so many other sopranos, and that's Leontine Price. And we are going to hear the two of you in Aida. Wonderful partnership here again with Leontine Price. You were there when she made her debut in Il Trovatore at the Met.
But before that, year before that, she made her operatic debut in San Francisco, in Aida, with me as a papa, Amonasro. And of course, a year later, I think it was a year and a half later, her debut at the Metropolitan Opera in Il Trovatore with Franco Corelli's debut. They both debuted the same night. George, it may have been one of the most exciting nights I've ever participated in. The audience refused to leave the theater. It was terribly exciting.
I can just imagine, because, it's a debut by two world famous. She actually was not really world famous at that moment.
No, she was not.
She had already a European career before that, but she actually...
Not in America.
That's right. Yeah. So it must have been very, very exciting.
Terribly exciting. And I've sung many roles, many performances with her, and we became very good friends.
And speaking of Il Trovatore, speaking of other exciting evenings, one that I happened to have attended very happily was the 25th anniversary of your debut as Germont, and maybe you'll share some of your recollections.
Yes, it was a performance of La Traviata with Joan Sutherland and Richard Bunning, by the way, her husband, conducting. And to my surprise, after the second act, the curtain opened and out walked 7 or 8, I don't know exactly, Violettas that I sang with at the Met. Fully costumed, and it was just I was completely overwhelmed, and I never forgot it. I never forgot that evening. It was terribly exciting.
Yes.
25th anniversary was very important to me.
Well, of course, sure. It was in 1970 because you made your debut in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
It was some career, I can tell you, Bob. It's wonderful, and all the pleasure you brought to us in the audience, and those of us fortunate ones who had a very unique opportunity of following your career from beginning until now. And in my case, I have reviewed your records from, I don't know how many years over the past many years. And I'm delighted that you share this occasion with us. And I am sure that all your friends out there will listen to this program with not only a joy, but also grateful appreciation of so many good memories. Do you still, I know you still attend performance. You go there occasionally. I'm sure you still enjoy opera.
Not as much as I'd like to, but I have so many other things I've been involved in, family,
right,
grandchildren. So I do things now that I didn't have the opportunity to do when I was at the opera.
Right.
And then all my concerts I did throughout the years. So it's a pleasure just to do anything I want to do, George. It's a great feeling to be able to do that. Right. But I still listen to the broadcasts over a station called QXR. Yes, that's right. I do. I listen to.
Right.
I'd love to hear new voices too.
Yes. Well, each season brings at least one or two pleasant surprises.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's always a future ahead for opera and young personalities to follow the paths of great singers that went before them. Bob, it's been a great pleasure for me, and as always, good to see you in good health and reminiscing and all that. And I wish you many more years. Incidentally, I follow you by only a couple of years. So good luck to both of us, but above all to you. And thanks again for joining.
Thank you, George. God bless you, and I'll be listening every Thursday.
Okay. The vocal scene is coming to you from station WQXR in New York. Our engineer is Al Lintz. Until next week, this is George Jellinek.
In a moment, a word about next week's program.